All right, diving in today, we're going to be looking at, well, a pretty cool opportunity, I think, for anybody out there who's thinking about, postgraduate studies.
Hmm.
We're talking master's degrees,
Yes.
specifically at Tokyo International University, that's TIU in Japan. And we've got a ton of information to go through here, like
Yep.
everything from, what TIU is all about, to the programs they offer, to what students are saying about it, even some expert opinions.
Yeah, we got it all.
So our mission today, if you will, is to really pull out those crucial insights that can help, well, you listening, understand what a master's at TIU can really do for your future, both academically and professionally. So no need to sift through endless websites and brochures after this. You'll be well informed.
Absolutely. Think of this as your shortcut to understanding the core of what TIU offers,
Uh,
whether it fits your goals, the academics, the costs, the experience, all of that.
Perfect. Okay, let's get started. First things first, like Tokyo International University. What's the need to know about this place? Like, paint the picture.
So TIU, it's a well-respected university in Japan, founded back in 1965. Their whole thing is about developing global leaders.
Okay.
And one thing that really stands out is their focus on international learning. They've got a bunch of master's programs, and get this, they're all taught in English.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that means you don't actually need to be fluent in Japanese to do your coursework. It's a huge plus for a lot of international students.
That's huge. Yeah. No, I mean, I can imagine that's a major barrier for a lot of people.
Hmm.
Besides the English instruction, what else makes TIU stand out? Like in the world of international universities, what are they known for?
A few things. For one, their curriculum is internationally recognized, so that means your degree is going to hold weight no matter where you go after.
Right.
They also have online English courses, which is, good for flexibility. And beyond just the academics, studying at TIU gives you a chance to really dive into Japanese culture and technology,
Mhm.
which is pretty unique, right? And then there's the tuition. It's actually quite competitive compared to a lot of universities, especially in the West, especially when you consider they have scholarships, which we can talk about more later.
Okay, yeah. Competitive tuition and scholarships in Tokyo. That's definitely catching my ear. Now, let's talk programs. What kind of master's degrees can someone actually get at TIU?
So they've got a good range of options to fit, well, all sorts of career goals.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the popular ones are the MBA, the Master of Business Administration, then there's a Master's in Digital Business and Innovation, and also a Master's in Economics.
Okay, let's break those down a bit.
Yeah.
First up, the MBA. What's the rundown on that one? What should people know?
So their MBA is really focused on giving you practical skills for global business.
Okay.
They have specializations in international finance, business marketing, and, well, finance in general.
Mm-hmm.
What's really cool, though, is that they don't just focus on theory. They have lots of internship opportunities at big global companies.
Yeah.
So you can get real-world experience while you study.
Wow, so you're not just learning about it, you're actually doing it.
Exactly. It could give you a serious edge when you graduate.
Yeah, that hands-on stuff is invaluable these days. Okay, the Master's in Digital Business and Innovation. That one sounds super relevant in today's world. Like, tech is changing everything so fast. What's the focus there?
Yeah, that's a really popular one. If you're interested in how technology is transforming business, that's the program to check out.
Okay.
They get into things like AI, artificial intelligence, big data analytics, and basically all aspects of digital transformation.
Hmm.
So it's not just about understanding the tech itself, but how to use it strategically in a business setting.
Right.
So yeah, if you see yourself kind of leading the way in how companies use these digital tools, it seems like a really good fit.
AI, big data, yeah, these aren't just buzzwords anymore. They're like shaping the whole future. Okay, and then we have the Masters in Economics. What's the key takeaway for that one?
With the economics masters, the focus is on getting a deep understanding of, well, global markets and economic policy.
Gotcha.
It's research-driven, but they really stress real-world applications.
Okay.
So if you're into really analyzing how the global economy works, understanding policy, and seeing how it all plays out in the real world, that's a solid choice.
It sounds like a pretty strong lineup of programs. Okay, so someone's listening to all this, they're interested. What do they need to do to actually get in? Like, what are the admission requirements looking like?
The requirements are pretty typical for a master's program.
Yeah.
You need a bachelor's degree from a recognized university.
Yeah.
And since it's all in English, you have to prove your English skills. That's usually through TOEFL or IELTS.
Right.
And then you need a statement of purpose. That's where you explain your goals and all that. And then, of course, strong letters of recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they might also ask for an interview, which could be online or in person.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly, though, from what we've seen, the application process is supposed to be pretty straightforward.
Straightforward is always good to hear when it comes to applications.
Yeah.
Okay, now for the big question, money. What about tuition fees? And is there any financial aid available at TIU?
So tuition for master's programs at TIU is estimated to be between 1 million and 1.8 million Japanese yen per year. But that's just tuition, right?
Right.
You also have to factor in living expenses, housing, books, all that.
Yeah, the whole cost of living.
Exactly. But the good news is they do have scholarships, some pretty significant ones, actually.
Okay, that's good to know. What kind of scholarships are we talking about specifically?
They have their own called the Tuition Reduction Scholarship, and that can take a big chunk off your tuition. Sometimes it even covers all of it.
Wow, okay.
Then there's the JSO scholarships. That's the Japan Student Services Organization. Those give you monthly stipends to help with living costs.
Hmm.
And for really exceptional students, there's the MEXT scholarship. It's a government scholarship, and it's a big deal.
Wow, okay, so there's some real options there.
Yeah. And, over half of the international students at TIU get some kind of financial aid, so it's definitely possible.
That's good to hear.
Uh,
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. What's it actually like being a student at TIU and in Japan in general? Like, paint us a picture of the experience.
From what we've gathered, the campus at TIU is really vibrant. They've got modern facilities, high-tech stuff, research centers, libraries, great study spaces. And the student body is super diverse. There are over 1,200 international students from something like 60 different countries.
Wow.
So yeah, a really international environment.
Call it a pretty cool place to learn. And
Yeah.
what about life outside of class, like the day-to-day stuff in Japan?
So they've got options for on-campus dorms, and they can also help you find housing off-campus.
Mm-hmm.
Good thing is, international students in Japan are allowed to work part-time, so that can help with living expenses.
Yeah, that's always a plus.
And Tokyo, even though it's huge, has amazing public transportation, super efficient and affordable, so getting around is pretty easy.
I've heard that about Tokyo. Okay, now fast forward. Graduation day. What happens next? What kind of career paths do people typically follow with a master's from TIU?
Well, getting a master's from TIU seems to open doors to international careers.
Yeah.
A lot of their alumni go on to work for multinational companies. And TIU actually helps with career development. They have networking events that connect students with potential employers, industry leaders, all that.
Mm-hmm.
And another good thing, Japan has visa options that let you stay and work after you graduate if you qualify.
Oh, that's good to know.
And get this, we found a stat that says about 85% of TIU graduates are employed within 6 months of finishing their degree.
Wow, that's a pretty impressive number. Okay, let's be real. Moving to a new country, doing a master's program is not always going to be easy, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges that students might face at TIU?
Yeah, of course. They're always challenges. The information we have points to 6 main areas where students might struggle. The first one is the language.
Okay, yeah, even though the courses are in English.
Right. You probably need to pick up some basic Japanese for everyday life.
Makes sense.
Then there's the whole cultural adjustment. Academic culture in Japan can be different, social etiquette, all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the cost of living in Tokyo. It can be expensive, so you really need to budget carefully. And then there's the visa process and all the paperwork. That can sometimes be tricky.
Yeah, paperwork is never fun.
And then, of course, there's the academic pressure. A master's is demanding, lots of coursework, tight deadlines. You got to be good at managing your time.
Definitely. And then I guess the last challenge would be networking.
Yeah, building your network, especially as an international student, can be tough.
But it sounds like there's advice out there to help students handle these challenges, right?
Absolutely. There are a bunch of tips that can really make a difference, like being proactive about learning some Japanese and using all the resources the university offers, like academic support and career services. And then there are strategic things, like setting clear goals for yourself, applying for scholarships early on, and building a good support network, like with other students, faculty, even alumni.
Yeah, community is key.
Totally. And then, of course, there are more practical things, too, like making sure you understand the visa regulations, staying organized with your studies, using productivity tools, getting involved in extracurricular activities, looking for internships, and just managing stress well.
Okay. And career planning, too, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Starting to think about your career early on in your program is really important.
Makes sense. So beyond just the official info, what are we hearing from experts and actual students who've been through the TIU experience? What are they saying?
Well, the sources really emphasize talking to experts in your field, professors at TIU, and even alumni to get a broader perspective.
Hmm.
And overall, it seems like people agree that the program can really boost your career. But some students do talk about facing difficulties, mostly cultural and financial. So it's important to get all sides of the story before you decide. Oh, and there are a couple of stats we found. The acceptance rate is about 40%. And like we said before, over half of the international students get some kind of financial aid.
Gotcha. And we also have Maria's story, right? She went through the TIU experience
Uh,
firsthand.
Maria's story is a good example. She's from Brazil, and she did her master's in economics at TIU. At first, she had some trouble adjusting to the culture and managing her time effectively,
Hmm.
but she used the mentorship program at TIU and got some great internships.
Okay.
And in the end, she landed a job in Japan after graduation. So her experience really shows that you got to be adaptable and take advantage of networking opportunities.
That's awesome. A real success story. Now, we also have some insights from faculty members, right?
Yeah, we have Professor Christopher Lamont from the International Relations Graduate Program. He talks about how the program really pushes students to engage with current global issues, to really analyze debates, and to use their knowledge to solve real-world problems.
Hmm.
And then there's Professor Naoto Yoshikawa, who heads the Graduate School of Business and Commerce. He talks about the MS in digital business and innovation and how it lets students choose courses from all sorts of areas like, digital economy, marketing, tech, business principles, entrepreneurship, all that.
So they can really tailor it to their interests.
Exactly.
It also seems like there's this organization called LetzStudy. They've helped some students get to TIU, right?
Yeah, LetzStudy has been a big help for some. Like, they helped Shantakumar get a tuition reduction scholarship for his master's in international relations, and they helped Rajath with the application process for his program in business economics. And Yashas SK, they gave him advice on finding part-time work while he was studying digital business and innovation.
Okay, so they're like a resource for students.
Yeah, another layer of support.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into TIU, what are the main takeaways, like the key things to remember?
Well, the big picture is that TIU has a lot to offer. They've got a great selection of master's programs, all in English, in a really unique environment. It's a real chance to grow, both academically and professionally. But you got to be realistic, too. You might face cultural adjustments, and you need to be smart about your finances. Although they do have those scholarships and support systems in place.
Yeah, sounds like a really unique and potentially rewarding path for the right person. Hopefully, this deep dive has given everyone listening a good idea of what a master's at TIU is all about and whether it might be a good fit for your goals.
Totally. And thinking about how globally focused TIU is, it makes me wonder, how would getting a master's in an international setting like Japan